You know that feeling, right? You spend hours cramming for a test or you read this amazing book, and then the next day, poof, it's just gone. It feels like your brain is a leaky bucket, and it is just so frustrating.
Well, let's get right into it because the numbers here are kind of shocking. Research actually shows that we forget a massive chunk of anything new we learn almost right away. We're talking about as much as 90%.
Yup. Within a single day, most of what you worked so hard to put into your brain is just gone. There's a scientific name for this. It's called the forgetting curve. And honestly, it's the silent killer of all that hard work. So, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do we stop pouring all this knowledge into a brain that just seems to let it all leak out? Well, the answer might not be what you think. Here's the most important thing to get. You don't have a bad memory. You're probably just using the wrong tools. The reason you forget isn't because you're not trying hard enough. It's because the methods most of us were taught, like rereading and highlighting, they are just incredibly bad at making things stick. So to fix this, we're going to explore two really powerful and totally different ways of thinking about memory. We're going to call them the path of the magician and the path of the monk. So on one hand, you've got the magician. They're all about creativity, finding these clever tricks and cheat codes that work with your brain's natural wiring. On the other hand, you have the monk. They're all about pure discipline, consistency, building knowledge piece by piece. So which path is the right one? Well, before we get into what makes them different, it turns out both the magicians and the monks agree on one single fundamental rule. Just passively reading or listening to stuff is a total waste of time. A real memory is built on an active workout for your brain. And that workout has a name, active recall. Seriously, think of your memory just like a muscle. You don't build a bicep by just staring at a dumbbell, right? You have to actually lift it. It's the same with your brain. Memory gets stronger from the effort of pulling information out, not just passively putting it in. Every time you struggle to remember something, that's not a failure. That's you literally strengthening that memory pathway. Okay, you know what? Let's try this out right now with a super quick challenge. I'm about to show you 5 random words. Your job is to memorize them in the exact order they appear. You ready? Here they are. Really focus. Try to burn these into your mind. Apple, train, glass, shoe, camera. You've got 20 seconds.
All right, your time starts now. Lock 'em in.
Okay, time's up. Pretty easy, right? But here's the real test. Without looking at your screen, try to say those 5 words in reverse order. Go on, give it a shot. It's a little tougher, isn't it? That feeling of effort, of really having to dig for it, that is active recall. That's the feeling of your brain actually building a stronger memory. Okay, so keeping that idea in mind, let's see how it fits into our first philosophy, the monk's path. This whole approach is about discipline, structure, and the incredible power of just being consistent. This quote right here just nails the monk's mindset. It's not about being a genius. It's about showing up every single day and doing the work. It's all about relentless, structured practice. So one of the monk's favorite tools is something called spaced repetition. A great way to think about it is like watering a plant. You don't just dump a bucket of water on it one time and then walk away forever, right? You give it a little water right before it starts to wilt. Spaced repetition does the exact same thing for your memories. You review stuff at the perfect moment, right before you're about to forget it, and each time you do, that memory gets stronger and lasts longer. And that leads to the monk's second key tool, Kaizen. This is a Japanese idea, and it's all about making small, consistent improvements, just getting 1% better every day. Instead of cramming for 8 hours straight, you just focus on reinforcing little chunks of information, but you do it every single day. That's how you get massive results without burning out. All right, now let's completely switch gears and look at the other side of the coin, the magician's path. This approach isn't about brute force. It's about using imagination, creativity, and some clever mental hacks to make information basically unforgettable. And the magician's signature move is the memory palace. See, our brains are naturally amazing at remembering places and locations. It's an evolutionary thing. This technique hacks that built-in superpower. You take boring, abstract info like names or numbers, and you turn them into really weird, unforgettable images that you mentally place around a location you know really well, like your own home. So here's how you do it.
First, you pick your palace, someplace you know like the back of your hand. Then, you turn the facts you need to learn into these bizarre, vivid, totally ridiculous mental scenes. And finally, you just place those scenes along a path in your palace. To remember everything, you just take a mental walk through your house and see all the facts you left there. And trust me, the weirder the image, the better it works. If you want to remember that pi starts with 3.14, you might picture a giant pie kicking a door down in your entryway. It sounds completely insane, right? But as the quote says, that's exactly why it sticks. Your brain is hardwired to pay attention to things that are strange and new. Now, there's actually some cool science behind why this magic trick works. It's called dual coding. By linking a verbal fact to a visual image, you're creating two separate pathways in your brain to get to that same piece of information. You're basically doubling your chances of remembering it. Things like mind maps work on this exact same principle. So, we have the monk's discipline and the magician's creativity. Which one should you choose? Well, the truth is, you don't have to. The real path to memory mastery is actually combining the strengths of both. This chart really pulls it all together. A true master doesn't just pick a side. They build their own integrated system. They use the monk's discipline framework, the spaced repetition, the daily practice, but they supercharge it by using the magician's creative tools, like memory palaces, to make the information stick in the first place. It is literally the best of both worlds. So look, these aren't just little tricks. They are the blueprints for fundamentally rewiring how you learn. You now have the tools of both the disciplined monk and the creative magician. So the only question left is, what are you going to build with them?